Lieutenant Governor Mike Kehoe is going to come on and talk about sort of more tornado recovery and floods, because that could be happening at any moment. So they're not done yet. So there's still a lot. The Capitol is safe. They got some of the tarp around because they're redoing.
So when I first saw the picture of the Capitol, I thought, wow, they took the Capitol out, but yet they're redoing the dome up there, right?
And so thankfully, all of that work is not going to be was not destroyed.
I saw someone being interviewed today, basically in their home that doesn't exist, and they're just standing in front of the microwave and the stove, and the sun is shining, and they're outside. And I also saw a picture. Gene Evans was on our panel last week, the executive director of the Missouri Republican Party. Was it her office in Jeff City State?
Yes.
She posted a before and after picture. The before was a week ago when there were things all in order and stuff, artwork on the wall, and she was sitting at her desk. And then the second picture was after the twister with, the office in shambles, which was kind of interesting.
But you're right, it wasn't as bad as Joplin, but it's also not as bad as Alabama. Alabama, it seems like every year there's 20, 30 people killed in a tornado going through there. So there are other places worse. I don't want to diminish the suffering that's going on, but I will say that if I were in charge of things in St. Louis, and I don't even mean this flippantly, the one thing that we have that lots of other parts of the country don't have is we have large quantities of fresh water. And I've been following California, although they're out of drought now. They have drought. The West has drought. The Southeast has had drought. As an economic development thing, and again, I'm not diminishing people suffering from flooding and saying, but it is a fact that the rest of the country is drying up while we have copious amounts of water. We ought to figure out what to do with that.
I don't consider that flippant at all, and it's funny because I think there are people that feel like water is going to be maybe the most coveted resources in the future, but is there, because I haven't followed technology or ways to maybe capitalize on that if you are in the Midwest, because you're going to have demand for that in the future in places that don't have the adequate supply.
We have the best water in the world.
Well, and it also reminds us how many rivers we actually have here, and that translates into the work we're all supportive of on port authorities and things like that. We are a major transportation hub because of air, rail, and water. And so with these floods, that's why our U.S. Senate delegation, congressional delegation in a bipartisan way are always working on rivers and how do you control the rivers, and I know they're always fighting with the Corps, and you got to keep these rivers open, but you also have to let floodplains be floodplains, right, so you don't develop in them. So it's a complicated ecosystem balance.
But what if we, and I don't know what this would cost, but what if we started in some of those, maybe in the floodplains, I don't know where, but what if we started building lakes where the water only goes out, I'm not an Army Corps guy, but the water goes in there when there's flood, because there was a time when the Chief of Staff to Senator Reed came to see us when they were in the middle of drought in Nevada, and he said the flood a few years ago in Cedar Rapids, Iowa, just the flood water would have been enough water for Nevada for like 50 years.